I mean, just to just sort of finish up here. I mean, this isn't necessarily an issue of immigration. I mean, those groups talked to earlier about those, those people in the Caribbean off of the Windrush, and the sort of Maltese and Greek Cypriot diasporas, the French Huguenots who came here, the Jews, you know, various times, Poles have come over since the end of the Second World War. Okay, and isn't it funny how none of these terror attacks were ever perpetrated by people with names like Bazawa or Mavronicolaou or Camilleri or Lemazurier or Goldstein? It's always people with these Islamic names. There's normally a Muhammad in there somewhere. Okay, and people like to bandy around these words about xenophobe, racist. Okay, and it's become a way for the uneducated left, who, and I mean, I'm a strong believer in. I think he who debates the best isn't necessarily he who is right. I think a clever and decent debater can can make himself look the winner when he's actually in a impossible position. Um, if he's up against someone who's not up to snuff, sort of thing, really. But it's just like a sort of ace in the hole that people whip out, and if you start shouting racist, bigot, xenophobic people, they they soon shut up. Um, I mean, Islamophobia is the sort of buzzword that you could potentially use when talking about this stuff, but is it a disproportionate sort of fear of Islam, or is it one that um, is actually increasingly a proportionate response? Um, because as I've talked about in the video, lots of these people would like to see our way of life utterly destroyed. Okay, you get these people who um, make the comparisons to Ireland and the IRA. Well, whilst I certainly don't agree with uh, their ideals and what they were doing, in fact, I'm vehemently against it. That was another thing that really pissed me off in the last week was all this media fawning over McGuinness and referring to him as some great statesman when the guy was a murdering fuck. Quite honestly, I think Good Friday was a complete fucking stab in the back, and Blair should be strung up. But you know, at least the IRA had a clear and limited set of demands, even if they weren't demands that I believe we should have ever given into, and I still don't believe we should give into. Um, they were a sort of feasible set of demands. Um, Although I sort of use that word feasible quite sort of lightly. Whereas the difference with Islamic extremism is, what is the demand here? What is the demand? Okay, these people are killing people on the streets of Europe, on the streets of America, on the streets of Oceania, in the name of their god, not because they want some kind of irredentism, as was the case in Ireland, or Enosis, where the Greek Cypriots, Eoka, were fighting against the British military for years to try and join with uh, the the Greek mainland. What is the ultimate goal here? Um, well, it's a caliphate. It isn't irredentism because the UK has never been part of an Islamic caliphate. Um, so can it really be called jihad even? Because um, certainly, as far as I'm aware, jihad is a war of reclamation rather than being simply a holy war. Um, so that's the question I sort of leave you with is how do these people expect to kill this ideology when we don't even know what it is they're fighting for? Essentially, they don't have a clear set of aims which have been laid out for us to, you know, discuss. and say fuck you. No, we aren't going to placate your demands, sort of thing. Um, and on that note, I hope if people have watched this, they've found it informative or enlightening, or at least made them think. Um, if you disagree with anything I've said, or want further information or clarification on any claims I've made or anything, as I say, I'll try and put the links on the post. I really do apologise for the coughing. Again, I'll say it in the post. I've got a bit of a sore throat, bit of a cold, but I really wanted to post this whilst it was still sort of relevant. And thanks to everyone who follows the page and has watched the video. I'd like to expand. We did start with 2 admins. The other guy we had, who was based in America, left due to work commitments. So if anyone would be interested in running the page with me, I might potentially be interested in bringing some new admins on. Ideally, not from the UK. I'd like to sort of get some diversity and variation from mainland Europe or the US or South America even. Anywhere really. So I won't carry on rambling anymore, guys. Thanks very much for watching.